Hello, my name is Justin, and we'll be going over the case study referred to as Renewal in the Inner City, Housing and Trust Fund for the Central Ward. I'll be taking you through the main issue of this case study and a similar issue that had taken place. Now let me first start by asking you a question. What would you do with $3 million from housing and redevelopment? Well, normally we'd probably put that back into housing and the community. Essentially, this is the main issue, the allocation of funds. So let me try to paint a broader picture and also the stakeholders involved. Now, every city and neighborhood would love to have a lower crime rate, great schooling, perfect town USA, I suppose. Unfortunately, some hands are forced into dealing with this issue rather than we would like to not. In the case study, we find Evelyn Alvarado. Now, she's head of the housing. She's actually head of the housing department and also came up with a plan to revitalize the community with the HTF. Now, the HTF stands for the Housing Trust Fund. It's essentially a fund to put money back into the community. Now, this actually had two parts to it. The first part was take the difference between the baseline tax. Now, that's the tax rate before any development occurs, and the new tax rate. The higher it goes, the difference between those two is put into a fund. Evelyn believes that is going to be about roughly $2 million. So there we have the $2 million in the trust fund. The second would be that any commercial property purchased would be taxed. Now, Evelyn believed that that was going to be approximately $1 million. So right there we get our $3 million. Now she wanted to put this money back into the community through grants to senior citizens and also refurbish homes that weren't zoned for demolition to make the area look nice. She saw that the neighborhood had too many, and I quote, crack houses and SROs in the neighborhood. Now, SRO is an acronym for Single Room Occupancy Apartment. Now, she handed this over to her assistant. While going through it, her assistant, it seemed great on, her assistant found that it looked great on paper, but there could be problems associated with it. With the new, better neighborhoods, the cost of living would go up. That means there would be a decrease in low income or affordable housing, excuse me. Also, the higher the property value, the less likely investors, prospective investors or buyers would purchase, and then the lots would remain vacant. So this seemed to be more of a gentrification project. Now, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines gentrification as the process of renewal and rebuilding accompanying the influx of middle-class or affluent people into deteriorating areas that often displaces poor residents. Now, while speaking with Miss Vanessa McClary, she's actually the manager of Planning and Development, Housing and Community Development Division that's located in Tampa. We discovered this fund would be a, quote, double-edged sword, as shown in the assistant's findings. But the thing is, everything's not set in stone. You have to take risks. You can't appease everybody. There will be people that will be against certain things, for certain things. So let's get to the other stakeholders. There's a delegation known as the Central Ward Delegation. It's comprised of people in the neighborhood that are affected actually by this HTF. So they obviously want to have some sort of say in what happens. They partnered up with the mayor and the commissioner of police and came up with a 4-point program. Now, this 4-point program was later known as the diversion program. Now, the first part of this program was grants to senior citizens. If the senior citizens weren't able to entirely pay for their housing, they be allocated funds. Second would be substance abuse clinics. Now, these clinics would obviously, if they work properly, drugs would go away, crime rate would decrease, and the appeal of the area would increase. Third would be daycare providers. Now, in these SROs, you have usually one parent and a child. Now, that parent needs to go to work, so, of course, where are they going to go? To daycare or have babysitters. And in this case study, apparently the babysitters or the daycares weren't that great. So this would help the parents immensely. And lastly, the fourth point was restoring dilapidated buildings to good condition. And parts 1 and 2 of this program, the grants to senior citizens and also making buildings that aren't slated for demolition look better. This is what Evelyn wanted. So parts 2 and 3 she did not agree with. Now, during our meeting with Miss Vanessa McClary, she spoke about another CRA that they worked on. Now, a CRA is a community redevelopment area, and she actually spoke about Seminole Heights, which she had she was involved in. Now, during this, she actually said that there are 4 main steps that would help a community survive and, well, just get better. The first would get rid of abandoned buildings, get rid of garbage, just make the place look better. After that, the second part is you take care of the crime. Police raids, patrolling, and drug rehabilitation, which is also mentioned under the 4-point plan. This also would have a great, it would make it more presentable. Now, the third part was single-family homes. It was shown that those that rented were less likely to maintain their property as those that owned. So they wanted to get people, families actually, single-family homes in there, but purchasing, owning. And fourth, if you're a family, normally you'd have children. Now, if you make the schools better, that's going to make it a lot better. It's going to make it more desirable. Better schooling, less crime rate. That's what they need. So let's recap here. The main issue is the allocation of money and where it should go. The stakeholders involved are Evelyn Alvarado, the mayor, the police commissioner, the Central Ward delegation, and residents. Now, for the views of these stakeholders and our recommendation, I would like to present Mr. John Gallagher. Thank you.